Okay, this is part two of the trail video. There's the stump that we left off. We left that last time, and I decided not to speed up the video this time. Uh, this part is probably the least interesting, but it gets more wobbly when it gets faster. This is the trail that's down along the base of the ridge, or along the rise, and off to the left is the mangrove basin, and of course up to the right is the stretch up to the ridge. Come along here for a ways to backtrack after coming down the slope, and up here is a three-way fork in the road. The road off to the trail road off to the right is going further out to the island on the lower road. Straight ahead that I'm pointing to here goes into the back of the warehouse or storage shed, and where some things are kept. And now I'm heading into what looks like just an undergrowth area. This was actually another trail road 2 years ago when I was here, but it's gotten overgrown, hasn't been maintained, hasn't needed to be, and come out into a grassy area. And then there's a bit of a causeway here that goes across the mangrove basin, mangrove bed. You can kind of see some of the muddy flats that are pretty dry at this time of the year. In the rainy season, they can get pretty full and you need the causeway. Up ahead, you'll see that underneath the causeway, they've put a pipe to allow the water to flow through onto both sides of it. I'm sorry for the flashes of sun. I did this in the early morning and the sun was shining in more than I realized. So we come in and we begin to see coconuts on the floor, and I'm just fascinated by these because these coconuts grow coconuts, and it's kind of like seeing an acorn starting to have an oak tree come out of it. I don't always associate acorns with the oak trees, but you see the roots coming out the bottom. I think I have another shot up here that's a little better. You can see the roots coming out the bottom and the plant coming out the top. You see gathering of these. You see gatherings of these coconuts, and I joke to myself that they've set them up for playing coconut bocce or some kind of coconut floor billiards. We just would have to come up with a long cue stick. I take a couple views off to the side here to get a look at the height of these palm trees. These are quite tall through the grove, and that's why it's quite a mature grove as we go along here. Light flashes in, but you can get the idea. They're quite tall. Samuel is able to climb these things barefoot. He prefers to use the gaffs that Nick, Natalie's husband, has gotten and left on the island. They're safer probably for him to use the spikes that go on the inside of the legs, and he can use that with the belt to climb instead of having to push back and push with his bare feet. But he's able to climb, and he harvests peepas for us from time to time. They're the pale brown coconuts from which we get the coconut water. The coconuts they call cocoa, and those are the things where you get the meat out of them. You can see there's just coconuts everywhere on this floor, and that it's right along the beach. After I go along here for a little ways, I decide to go out to the beach. But it's just there's some maintenance being done here. You can see off to the left, and I begin to show it, that the developers have begun to put some plantings to mark off the boundary of the mangrove basin off to the left. So coming up here, you can see that it just gets prettier and prettier as you get to see the water. Now you got to imagine that there's some kind of like a community hut shed, screened in area, no doubt screened, for us to gather at times, and probably in the afternoon, maybe in the mornings, to enjoy the end of the day. This will not be a sunset area. There may be some sunset off to the right, but that's really pretty much due south or slightly southwest. Again, looking out this way, I decide at this point to head out to the beach. And out at the beach, you'll get a fuller view of the view. You notice that the water is quite calm in the morning. That off to the right down there, the opening is the Pacific Ocean. There's one island in the gap. That was Samuel's boat off to the right, and off to the left is the dock and Natalie and Nick's boat. The waves, it's quite calm in the morning. It gets pretty rough in the afternoon when the wind picks up. It can be all white-capped. Now I'm coming back to the trail road that runs along the beach. This will eventually, I think, be even better cultivated. Right now it's not bad at all. The UTV can make its way along here just fine, and obviously you can walk it. And it's really a pleasant part of the journey down to Natalie's. I show off to the left at the time that mangrove is still here. That's a whole like mangrove inlet that borders the whole back of the lots that are along the beach. So they're separated from the rest of the island by a kind of a natural boundary there. Now coming up here, I decide to go straight, which is really just more the footpath part of it. And because I've taken a shortcut through here, I turn and face backwards to show you how the trail road goes around that little section of coconut trees. You can also see off here to the right that some new coconuts have been planted and are younger or lower. And as they grow and all along, they drop their palms at times, palm branches, and they get in the road, need to be cleared off. There's Natalie's house off to the left. And as you'll see out on the beach, the Natalie's twins like to build shelters for themselves every year using the palm branches. And they look like regular natives there. Beautiful view at Natalie's, and it's all hers right now until another beach buyer comes along or others up the way. So here we are at Natalie's house.